Kia ora koutou katoa, ngā mihi mauha, kia koutou katoa, ko Tangi Noomotu. I think I would have rather followed Helen Clark. You're awesome. So today we sort of had 10 minutes or less, to talk about some of the key issues, and I spent quite a lot of time thinking about what not to put in there, a lot of time, because I could talk on this for days, to be honest. So one of the things that come to me is about how when we do this stuff, not when you do it, but sometimes when we do this stuff, we can lose the people. So I want to start off with a real story, a real case scenario that I worked with. I have this young person's permission to talk about their experience as well. I contacted him recently and let him know I was doing it, and Helen Clark was going to speak in the morning. He was pretty excited about that. So was I. So I'm just going to introduce him today. And when I'm introducing him and talking about him, I'm going to bring up some sort of key moments along the way. And I want you to think about if this was somebody that a loved one, somebody that you really cared for and felt emotionally connected to, what is it that you would want for them? So here it goes. So he's an 18-year-old NZ Māori male. He had come to me from bouncing around services and had a range of diagnosis on him in terms of ADHD, conduct disorder, anxiety, severe substance use disorder and polysubstance use. His mum had passed away due to an accidental overdose when he was just a kid after completing residential treatment. His dad was on the methadone program, and although he was trying to do well, he was also smoking cannabis daily and wasn't that freely available. He had a partner who he loved, but there was elements of power and control within that relationship. Some of his strengths were he was extremely likeable, he was really resilient, and he really wasn't shy to share his opinion. So he gave it to you no matter what. So the first key moment came when he started experimenting with methamphetamine via IV use, which we're seeing more and more these days. And he actually knew that was causing him harm. He was experiencing psychosis and those sorts of things, and wanted to stop it. So he did, amazingly. And someone explained it amazingly well today as the big taniwha, eh? And so he went through and fought this taniwha and come out on the winning side of that, which not a lot of people can do. And he's young and resilient and strong. At the time, he was still smoking cannabis daily. And so I want to think about that, about all of the good things that happened with that. So good things are that he's functioning better, he's feeling happier, his psychosis symptoms have gone, the secondary harm that we heard about today in terms of IV use, Hep C and a range of other issues that we all know about. So that's all the good stuff. But then the not so good stuff. In terms of he's smoking cannabis, he's still faced equal amount of stigma in terms of being a druggie or an addict or a dole bludger that our services and systems put on people like this. He was still criminalised in terms of his drug use, and also he still wasn't able to pass a drug test in order to get a job. So although he had made significant changes in his life in terms of a harm reduction lens and actually holding somebody accountable to the changes they can make with the resources they have, what's the point? What sort of, how do we celebrate that, and what are we offering when they do that? So how are we socially and systematically recognise and reinforce that significant reductions in harm like this? So key moment 2 come when actually he wanted to give up cannabis as well. He was a ridiculously resilient young man. So he wanted to get a job, jobs were coming up at the meatworks, and he knew he had to pass a drug test to get it. So he was coming, we worked on it, he took all of the support that he could possibly get, soaked it up, and ran with it. Passed a drug test, got a job, was amazing at it, absolutely amazing at it. So again, some of the good things, gained employment, sense of hope, he had income, he was feeling great about himself, he was interacting with people who weren't using, he had a reason to get up in the morning, and all of that good stuff. And then, which we often see in this work, he started drinking, because that's the legal way, that's better, that's what we promote, that's socially acceptable. And Helen Clark named it today that it's also more harmful than cannabis, but not for him, because he can smoke. If he smokes cannabis, he may lose his job, which is the reason he gets up in the morning, the reason he put on all this mahi, the reason he worked hard. But if he drinks alcohol, then he was increasing, his power and control was increasing, his risk of violence was increasing, and significant harm to himself with the way he was drinking was increasing. So again, the question is, how do we socially and systemically, and what are our priorities here in reducing harm, And would we say that actually he's doing well and that he should continue drinking because that's legal? Or would we say maybe there's another way of doing this in terms of our policies and what we're promoting? And if you say he should continue drinking and be a member of society and not break the laws, how do you think his partner would feel about that in a whānau order approach? And are we actually set up to work with these things? So more questions than answers. So I actually have, when I talked with him, he actually sent me back an email and said a quote that I want to talk about in terms of the work that he'd done. I sent this speech through to him to make sure that he was okay with it, and also to reinforce the hard work that he'd done, and seen this as a therapeutic opportunity. So I just want to work hard during the week, maybe smoke a bit of weed in the weekends, maybe. That's me, and I'm happy being me. The way the system makes me feel like I'm messed up. And messed up is my PC word. I changed his words. It was worse than that. He's not shy. It's a huge waste of resources and money, and for what? For me not to work, for me to try and find another source of income and go back to bludgeoning more money off the government. It's not what I want at all. So again, how well are we systematically and socially setting our young people up and giving them a reason to get out of bed in the mornings? So the questions we got and received were, what is the greatest unmet need? So access to meaningful activity, and actually us taking a community approach. I'm preaching to the choir here. We need to get out to the people who aren't here and get our message across, and education is definitely key. But educating people young and educating the people that vote, because governments don't change if they don't get the votes for it. So I think that's where it needs to happen. Who presents the greatest opportunity in terms of prevention and response? We all do. But because I 100% agree with you that it's our tangata whai ora themselves, I actually think because of that, they need to change them, because we can't listen to them if we're in prison. We cannot listen to them if we have to round them up from prison. Why are these the top priorities? Because this man's story is common. I imagine this is a familiar story to lots of people in the room. And we have to be heading towards something better, and we can't do that alone. Salvation Army, awesome. Can't do that alone. So he gave me hope for positive change, and I also just want to flag some of the things that we expect people with addiction and mental health to give up along the way, because I don't think we're that brutally honest with them when they come in about how hard it's going to be and what they'll have to give up. And I think that's on us to do that. It's going to be hard, it's going to be horrible, you're going to lose some friends and maybe some family along the way. This particular young individual, He gave up more than just drugs. He gave up his family. He gave up his identity. He gave up his friends. He gave up his coping strategies. He gave up everything that was familiar. And surely if he can do that, we can give up some policies that aren't working. Nō reira, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou.